Those are three good reasons. Auburn, an absolute wagon on the trail right now.
Auburn's making like very, I don't want to say scary waves, but waves where you're like, wait a minute, this is actually, Auburn might be very good within the next 3 years. Like very, very good.
Very good. We're obviously talking about Jared Smith having committed to them this weekend, 5-star edge rusher. I'll be honest, because I always am. I'm not in love with him personally. I think he's extremely tight. Edge rushers who are tight historically don't have great success as edge rushers. However, if he becomes a true defensive end where he's maybe inside the tackle, he's certainly big enough with a large enough frame, and he's going to get even heavier in college. He's ungodly big, and he's really, really fast. So those are traits we can obviously take. And it's a massive win for Auburn either way. He is what we call a profile recruit, okay? That's got an elite profile. That's got an SEC, maybe NFL football player profile on that guy. Take him no matter what. And Hugh Freeze is doing a couple of things. He's recruiting based off profile. All these guys have elite physical measurements, dating back to Cam Coleman all the way up till today of Jared Smith, or this weekend of Jared Smith. They all have really, really great physical profiles. But we also talked about last week how Hugh Freeze is absolutely hammering the state of Alabama. Mm-hmm. This makes 9 out of 10, I believe, of the top 10 football players in the state. The only one he's missing is Neem Offord. Okay, and I think the other one is the edge rusher that's committed to Ohio State as well. All right, so there's a couple of guys that he's missing out of that top 10, but he is absolutely hammering the state. And by the way, if you look at the history of the great football coaches in this conference, they pretty much start by hammering down their state, getting those in-state relationships pinned down so they have year-over-year return success. And then once they become winners, they go nationally with their recruiting product. You know who did this? Nick Saban's first class at Alabama. He signed 18 football players from the state of Alabama. And every single other player in his class was within his 5-hour radius. I checked it today. Okay, so like they hammered the local recruits the moment Nick Saban got there. And then guess what? Then as soon as they got national, it's like, hey, there's this lefty out of Hawaii who plays quarterback. Let's go take him. Hey, there's a couple of corners out there in California. Let's take them. Hey, wide receiver here, whatever. They became national recruiters once they became winners. You know who else did this? Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart hammered the state of Georgia. Hammered it. Put down the lines. Y'all ain't coming in here and taking nothing I don't want. All right? Hammered the state. Then starts winning, starts recruiting nationally. This is a proven, successful model of recruiting. Hammer the in-state relationships because they will always be perennial producers. If you have the relationships in the state, you will constantly be a relative force in recruiting. And then once you start winning, go out and recruit nationally. I think Hugh's doing it the way the really, really good coaches have previously that didn't walk into national winners. Alabama is a national winner. Kalen DeBoer walked in there with national recruiting presence and prowess. That's why he's nationally recruiting and doing so with a top 3 class right now in 2025. However, he better start paying attention to the backyard because the backyard right now is getting planted with a Hugh Freeze flag.
So who would you say is more set up for success over the next, 3-year period? Because Hugh Freeze seems to have a chokehold on the Alabama standpoint, but Kalen DeBoer also doesn't seem like he's having any issue recruiting nationally. So which do you think is going to be better suited? Because it's kind of two separate approaches. And
one is based off relationships and one is based off success. Mm-hmm. Relationships, as long as they are cultivated in the correct way and fed good food, they don't ever leave.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like you establish relationships, you got long-term success that you can bank on. If you're relying on success to make you a national threat recruiting, then you're dependent upon that success and you better maintain it. Mm-hmm. So I think from a long-term successful ploy, history tells us hammer the state first, then go out and do the national stuff. But I mean, we're going to get the proving ground. Assuming that maybe you can't just assume this. Okay, first of all, Hugh Freeze has had a much longer run of recruiting these in-state kids than Kalen DeBoer. So you have to give that. That's not always going to be the case, right? Next year, these things are going to come to more of an even battleground on that type of stuff. So he's got a leg up on that, standpoint there. And that's one point. And the other point is maybe Alabama and DeBoer don't like the in-state crop this year. And if that's the case, that's the case, because they're obviously taking good players from out of the state.
And that's why you have to view this after multiple seasons. It's not fair just to sit here after this one recruiting class and sit here and make takes about like, well, Hugh Freeze obviously is better set up for success in the future because he's doing this. Like once you get like a couple more recruiting classes in, if this remains the same, then I think you can formulate a better take around it. But right now, I'm interested to see if DeBoer has the ability, not necessarily like is willing to, but the ability to switch up his recruiting and remain in state one class if he needs to.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering what's going to be easier, to go from the state of Alabama to spread nationally, or start nationally and have to come back down and be in the state when, oh, by the way, there's another guy next door who's already kind of planted his flag here.
I don't know, but I'll tell you which one's cheaper. It's cheaper to get the in-state kids.
In-state for sure.
You don't have to travel as far. And on the NIL front as well. I don't know if y'all know, but like 5 Stars moms and dads and support staff, they normally come across the country when those kids come across the country. I don't know if y'all know that, but y'all should. And that costs money. All right, it costs money up front with the NIL deal, I would imagine. So it's cheaper to recruit local talent as well. Also, the the return rate, or the retention rate was the word I'm looking for. The retention rate is slightly higher on in-state kids because they're not homesick. They're not transferring back home or transferring back where they have relationships, because they're at that place where they have all those relationships and all those known factors. So I think it's slightly less risky and slightly less expensive to recruit your state if you're doing it well. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's a 2 or 3 year kind of reaction that we should take on these two guys. The good news for this show, the good news for other talk shows, and the good news, I think, for college football, it seems to me like Alabama and Auburn have 2 really, really good football coaches. And I think that's good. I think that's good for the sport and good for the conference. Auburn 100% still rolling as we are. Oh, we didn't even mention. I think they're going to flip Deuce Knight as well. So it's getting rowdy over there on the barn.
It's safe to assume that if they flip Deuce Knight, Juju is down to USC or Colorado.
Juju is down to USC.
Okay, I didn't know, because there have been rumors that they were flirting with him. So
that's OV. It's those two holding a gun to Julian's head saying, "Are you gonna do it?" USC and Colorado, and both are uber dependent on that kid, man.
That's an interesting picture.
Very dependent on their futures of their program. Rely on a guy that we don't know, because we don't know if any of these dudes are going to be 100%. We don't even know if the guy's going to be good. We think he's going to be good. We all really, really feel as if he's going to be really, really good, but we don't know. We don't know that for a fact. And these two programs have basically hemorrhaged their entire immediate future on him, because both of them expect him to start immediately, and also bolster their quarterback room for the foreseeable future. Interesting times for sure.